What's occurred to me now is that disinformation has become like, what is disinformation? No, we used to talk about disinformation. We used to talk about propaganda, downright lies, not trusting people, discernment, making decisions for yourself. Now what it's all about is disinformation. Someone might disinformation you so hard. I think it kind of began around Joe Rogan's Spotify, didn't it? It was this. That Joe Rogan's popular and we don't seem to be able to control him. That's annoying. What if we say that he's doing disinformation and misinformation? What do you mean by that? Is it objectively disinformation or misinformation, or is it stuff you don't agree with? Because even in fields of expertise and apparent scientific empiricism, there are still disagreements and discussions to be had. And I reckon when the state set up an agency to determine what is truth and what's not truth, guess what I reckon could happen? I mean, I don't know if I'm being really cynical. They may say things are not true if those things are not convenient to them. I mean, what's Julian Assange in prison for? Disinformationing people right up the Gulf War? Let's have a look at this story. So, the Department of Homeland Security is setting up a disinformation governance board to try to counter the spread of false information. So, remember the last couple of years, have there been examples of things that were said to be true or not true that then later the perspective or opinion changed? Disinformation expert Nina Jankovic will lead the board. Let's just hope that Nina Jankovic is 100% reliable and has got no previous of making any balls up in any area at all. In a twist to implausible for fiction, the abbreviation DGB is one letter off from KGB. That's disinformation. It doesn't matter if something's got certain initial letters. You're being superstitious. The stated goal of combating mis and disinformation. What's the difference? It's already confusing, isn't it? Misinformation. Well, it's misinformation before she's married, but once it gets married, it's disinformation. Is framed to seem unobjectionable. Who objects to truth and pines for falsehood? Yeah, no one. DGB experts will guide the way, separating the informational wheat from the disinformational chaff. But there's one small problem with empowering truth experts. Experts are people. I'm increasingly realising that, you know. They're a person that goes home and picks their nose and looks out the window and does a little fart. They're human beings. There's a crossover, there's fallibility, there's flaws. They're subject to the emotions that we're subject to, they're subject to bribery, they're certainly subject to ideologies, aren't they? And you're not going to give someone the job of being in charge of disinformation just like, you can do it. It's going to be someone who broadly agrees with you, has the same agenda as you. I'm not comfortable at all with anyone saying they know what the truth is because, well, this is how I'm a human being. And my understanding of reality is continually changing. I thought that this was right. I thought that that was right. This is wrong now. Oh, God. It's continually evolving and shifting. And that's a good thing. That's a sign that you're engaged with reality in a symbiotic relationship with stimuli and circumstance. The alternative is dogma. The alternative is tyranny. The alternative is the DGB, what you're being offered. If you don't predict doom and reality is worse than you predicted, you will be blamed and shamed. The incentives are clear. Truth experts at the DGB will proclaim grave threats around every turn, even when any threats are minor to non-existent. Of course, the facility and ability to enhance centralised power increases under threat. Like, think about your own life. When you feel, broadly speaking, relaxed and all right, yeah, you got a little spring in your step. You might go for a stroll, maybe catch an apple and flip it off your elbow. But it's like, oh, I don't think things are going to work out for you. Oh, no. Oh, should I even be eating this apple? Like, if you're continually stimulated into a state of fear, you're more easy to control. Imagine that happening at a state level. Imagine the sort of frequency jam of anxiety that's just been going on and on and on, one story to the next. It's just like an ongoing sort of carnival of misery. Oh, thank God that pandemic's over. War now. Oh, God. Right, don't think about the war. It's got a bit boring. But bloody Johnny Depp's marriage is a bright state. By creating the DGB, the US government is creating a crisis monitor with the dial permanently set to existential threat. No one inside the board will have the incentive or the courage to dial it down. No, why would you dial down your own power when your business is power? That's what the government is. The government is about power, control. That's what the word government means. The dangers of the DGB will be amplified if it becomes the tool of partisan political actors, and it already has. Executive Director Nina Jankovic, who once described Hunter Biden's laptop as a Trump campaign product, has written that America's information landscape includes declining trust in the media fed by the Trump administration's relentless attacks on the fourth estate. She has said, unless we mitigate our own political polarisation, our own internal issues, we will continue to be an easy target for any malign actor, Russian or Iranian, foreign or domestic, to manipulate. I suppose to create this agency, you have to legitimise its existence. I suppose the presidency of Trump did a lot of things that were beneficial to those currently in power. It created an sort of an omnipresent bogeyman, even after Trump's power. We say bogeyman in my country. An omnipresent power who's still being used even after his administration has ended. I'm not sure that Trump's version of misinformation is any worse than Biden's version of misinformation. Imagine if before Biden was elected, this was going on. That laptop, it is real. Oh no, this laptop, it turns out it was Hunter's. There's no such thing as objective mis or disinformation. There are sets of facts that are convenient to certain outcomes. In 2020, when Donald Trump was president, Yankovic did not want the executive branch to have the power to control free speech. Oh, it's okay when we do it. Since it was announced that she would lead the board, her previous social media posts and interviews have surfaced, with many noting she's previously spread misinformation herself. You're the perfect candidate. We call you misinformation. Actually, it's misinformation. Oh, sorry. This has highlighted the problem of how people trying to control misinformation online are actively calling for censorship while spreading misinformation themselves. Perhaps we should all just accept that we might all be capable of saying things that are not true, that we might all be wrong, that we've been wrong many times before, and we'll be wrong many times again in the future. Perhaps we shouldn't enter this conversation with such certainty, but with a degree of openness, that the people we disagree with might be right. And better yet, we might find a common truth between us if we approach one another with open hearts, not with naivety and stupidity, with open hearts and a kind of reluctance to yield to our own inner dogma and the simplifying comfort that it gives you to just think, well, I'm right, they're all bad actors, disinformation, misinformation. That's no way to run a country. That's not even the way to run one mind.